I show you this one because it's so evident. I'm drinking a beer and I'm eating French fries. Oh man, that's gross. It gets worse. These are things of beauty. That tells me that glass was super clean and the beer was well made. Huge Cicerone topic is the beer clean glass, the beer clean glass. This is kind of a gross topic, but it has to be discussed and we have to do better because for years we did not. And there's still a lot of places who don't do better. I even see breweries post pictures like this one right here, and they'll say, "Oh, come try our new whatever," and they show a picture like this. Well, I take a look at that picture and I'm like, that's freaking disgusting, right? So a lot of people have been served a beer like this, or not even beer, but Coca-Cola, any carbonated beverage. What's happening here, though, is important to understand. What's happening here is that the CO2 is going to cling to what we call nucleation points. A nucleation point is something that's inside the glass. If the glass is perfectly clean, then these bubbles will not cling to the inside of the beer glass. A perfectly clean beer glass has no bubbles except for where the foam is. Okay. Now, with this one, I show you this one because it's so evident of what we're looking at. What we're looking at is a ring of where the foam was, where the foam, see that ring right there, right there, right there. This is as someone was drinking the beer, the foam set there, but then the glass was not cleaned very well. So there's still residue from the previous beer in this glass. That's exactly what we're looking at here. Okay. So the foam, the CO2 is clinging to that old residue. Now, what is that residue? In this case, it's the old foam from the previous beer that was in there, and it probably was not your beer, so it was someone else's beer, and it's their foam that is clinging to. What else could it be clinging to? Usually, it's clinging to oils, um, like fingers. If your hands are going in the dishwashing sink, eventually your oils from your skin get into the dishwashing water, and then that ends up on your glassware. Or it could be grosser, it could be lipstick oils, makeup oils, it could be um, French fry grease. All that stuff ends up in the dishwashing water. Let's say I'm drinking a beer and I'm eating French fries, cheeseburger, and then I grab my glass, right? With that same hand, those hands I'm using to eat a cheeseburger and French fries. And now I got grease all over the glass, and then the glass goes into the dishwashing water and it gets rinsed and such, and then comes out. And as time progresses, it doesn't take very long at all for that water to be pretty gross. That water needs to be changed on a very, very regular basis. There needs to be a proper regimen for cleaning glassware. If you don't do that, you end up with this. So it might be foam from a previous beer, it might be French fry grease, it might be human body oils, but it's something, right? It's something. And then here's what happens. So it's already gross. They set it down in front of you. You see bubbles on the inside of your glass. Your brain already starts exploding now that I've told you this. Your brain's going to explode. And it's like, oh man, that's gross. It gets worse. It gets worse because what happens is the CO2 starts acting like scrubbing bubbles. And they just start going rah, 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 and they start cleaning the glass. So they start eating away at whatever's on the inside of the glass. That does two things. One, it's usually oils. So as it's eating those oils off, it's releasing that oil into the beer, which then immediately kills the head on your beer. So your head goes whoop and just collapses to nothing. And if the glass was super, super dirty and had a lot of oil on it, you can actually even see a little oil slick that'll form on top of your beer, which is not very cool. It's like, you know, you put a drop of soap or something in there. Oh, and soap is another thing. It could be detergent residue, right? Which isn't quite as gross from as far as like someone else's French fry grease, but it's still not good. It's not going to make the beer taste good, and it's still a chemical in your beer. So anyway, the scrubbing bubbles, they scrub it off. That releases it into the beer. And once it's released into the beer, it's going to collapse the head almost always. And then the other ultimate gross out is that then you drink it. Okay. That's bad. We need to do better. We should not tolerate this kind of dirty glassware with the prices we pay for good craft beer and good imported beer today. We can't do this anymore. So we all have to get better, and people need to do a better job cleaning their glassware. Here are some other examples of dirty glassware. This one is completely disgusting. This one is also completely disgusting. This one is interesting because see how you can see the swipe? See the swipe right there? So you know what that one is. That one was a rag. The rag was dirty and they cleaned the inside, probably tried to dry the glass, but the rag wasn't clean. So you end up with this. Okay. So you end up wiping oils on the inside of the glass. And like I said, what the CO2 is going to do very, very quickly is it's going to eat away at whatever is on the inside of the glass, release that into the beer. And if it's oils, it's going to collapse your head and create, like I said, even a little oil slick on top of the beer. Very, very, very gross. This will happen with any carbonated beverage. It can happen with, a soda pop or anything like that. The one caveat here that you have to be aware of is that sometimes, if it's a plastic cup or even on a glass, it could be microabrasions. Microabrasion, like if a glassware is going through real heavy duty industrial dishwasher and it goes through that all the time, it can actually create these little microscopic scratches in the glass. So you'll know the difference though, because if it's microscopic scratches, then the bubbles have nothing to eat away at, meaning they stay there, they stay put. If it's an oil or something, that CO2 is going to gnaw it off and it's going to release it into the beer. So, within a couple of minutes of your gross looking glass set down in front of you, your glass is going to be clean. Your head's going to be gone, but the glass is going to be clean. If it's a microabrasion, it can't eat it away. It's just going to continue to stick there, right? So that's how you know the difference. If the bubbles don't go away, obviously, if you bang the glass around or something, you can get them to come loose. But if you just let the glass sit and the bubbles don't go away and they continue to stay on the inside of the glass, then you can say, ah, okay, that's probably nothing. That's probably just microabrasion on the glassware itself. If it was me, I would replace the glassware, which is relatively cheap at that point, so that my beer looks beautiful again. But at least as a consumer, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Okay. All right. This is another completely different topic. This is actually showing a clean glass. What you should never see bubbles on the inside of your full glass of beer, but on a empty glass of beer, you should be able to see if the glass was super, super clean to begin with, and if the beer had a nice head on it with a nice head retention, well-made beer, then what you should end up seeing is every drink that you took, right? You should have a little, every place where the foam set for a minute, you should be able to see that. That's a thing of beauty. So see how you got these little lines formed on them? These are things of beauty. That tells me that glass was super clean and the beer was well made and had a nice head on it.